Crack and the Beanstalk.
Go down the shop and get us a pack of ciggies, Dale,
My mum uttered as she hinted towards the $20 on the counter. We lived in a shitty, run-down one-bedroom apartment in the Housing Commission flats on the ground floor. Outside our front door were the gauntlet of hallways where every day I felt lucky just to make it home alive. It was just me and Mum. She had been addicted to meth now for most of my life, so most days we struggled to find enough to eat, let alone have nice things. 1, 2, 3 steps out the door, past the half-busted death trap of an elevator, before I was accosted by the whacked-out hippie-looking dude in 1F. "Hey man, want to buy some shrooms for $20? They're dried out and ready to roll." I'd never tried shrooms before, but today for some reason I couldn't be fucked dealing with my shitty life, and thought, why not? Mum wouldn't need ciggies if she was tripping balls, and it saves me a walk to the shops. So I handed over the $20 and get given a small, dirty bag of magic mushrooms. The bag looks like it's been through the wash in someone's pocket, but I don't give a shit. "Mum, I didn't get you any ciggies because the shop was all out of your brand," I lied. "But this dude sold me this bag of shrooms for $20 and he reckons they're really good." She looked at me with this half-disgusted look and half-furious rage.
"You know I can't eat those fucking things. They make me sick. Are you trying to fucking kill me?"
With that, she threw the bag of shrooms onto the ground.
"That was my last $20 and I'm out of ciggies. Now I've got to go get more cash somehow, you little shit."
The only time Mum left the house was to get money for drugs, or to get drugs themselves. Sometimes she had a shitty boyfriend who would buy them for her. I never knew how she got her money. I never asked because I didn't want to know. With that, she hastily packed up all of her things into her dirty, over-the-shoulder bag, stopped briefly to look in the mirror and straighten her hair before muttering something and slamming the front door behind her. There they were, just sitting there looking at me. Fuck it. I could have just one and see where the day takes me. How much harm could one do? I've heard they make you see cool shit. When I opened up the bag, they were only little mushrooms. Surely one wouldn't be enough. So I decided to take 2 instead. They tasted awful, but I ended up swallowing them quick, and it wasn't that bad. I waited. I decided to watch some TV on the tiny TV Mum found in the hard rubbish and brought home the other day. The reception was crap, and the bottom half of the screen had a crack in it, but you could still see most of what was going on with some channels. Waiting. Still nothing was happening. After about 20 minutes, I decided that I hadn't had enough, and I should have 2 more just to make sure I could feel something. So I grabbed a glass of water this time and just swallowed them straight without letting them hit my tongue, which seemed like the way to go. As I sat back down on the couch, the crack in the screen seemed like it had shifted somehow. Wasn't it on the other side of the screen? The show I was watching, which was kind of hard to tell, had some people speaking in Spanish, I think. Or was it Russian? You know, I'm not too sure. Our carpet had all these stains in them because they hadn't been washed in like 2 months, but they never seemed so interesting until now. The old coffee stain next to the bench looked like it was trying to escape under the front door. Lights from under the door looked like there was a carnival happening in the hallway. Maybe I should see if they'll let me into that carnival. I think I can even hear the circus music. As I step up from the couch, my hands seem really heavy and far away, and walking seems really hard. Wow, I think I can feel something. This is really funny. I start laughing as I make my way to the door and into the carnival in the hallway. As I open the door, what greets me on the other side is unlike any time I have opened that door. Suddenly the hallway seems like a giant playhouse. So much fun to be had. I take 1, 2, 3 steps into the hallway, leaving the door open behind me. Ding! Ding! The carpet in the hall has these strange vines all over it, and they seem to be beckoning me into a magical lift. Ding! Ding! It's a sign, so I step into the magical lift, transported by the vines in the carpet. Looking around, I notice that there's already 1 button lit up on the lift panel. Level 12, the top level. I've never been up to the top level of the Commission Flats, but I've heard stories, and I'm up for an adventure. I press the button and the doors close. There is a song in the half-broken speakers playing what used to be some kind of elevator music, but now is like a drowning cat. But I kind of liked it. Up and up and up I went, into the clouds and into the unknown. I was greeted by a sharp ding as I reached the top, like when a microwave has finished cooking something, and I must admit, I felt a bit cooked at this stage. The doors open, and there the vines stretched out onto the mystical top floor. At this point my legs felt so heavy it was easier to crawl, and being so high up in the clouds, I thought it best if I held onto the vines as best I could. I exited the magical elevator and across the vines, making my way down the hall. There was a door at the end of the hall, and voices could be heard in there. I crawled over the vines and in through a tiny crack in the open door. "Macho, macho man, I want to be a macho man," a deep, bellowing European voice was singing, and I could hear the sound of the shower coming from the other room. As I crawled along the floor, I bumped my head into the sharp corner of the coffee table. Wide-eyed and staring at the leg of the coffee table, I lifted myself up to look on top of the table. And as my eyes peered over the lip of the edge, I'm almost blinded by what is covering it. It shines like gold, and it takes me a while to figure out what I'm looking at. Stacks of notes. Must have been 20 different stacks of $50 notes, all just sitting there, next to a mirror with white powder scattered all over it. I could hear the pipes to the shower creak as the taps were turned off. I didn't even think about it. I just grabbed all the wads of cash and climbed back down the leg of the table, across the vines on the carpet and back through the crack in the door of the hallway. I could hear a man whistling as he opened up the bathroom door behind me, but I didn't dare look back now. As I rounded the corner, running along the vines, barely able to maintain my balance, ding, ding, I opened the door to the magical elevator and hear this booming voice behind me.
"What the fuck? Some motherfucker's about to be killed,"
as a giant man in a bath towel came bolting out of the apartment. My arms full of cash, I furiously pressed the button for the bottom floor. The doors closed. The once magical elevator is transformed into the rickety death trap it always was. Floor by floor, the lift descends, creaking and shaking, until it finally gets to the bottom and I spill out onto the vines on the bottom floor. I grabbed hold of the carpet, paralysed by fear, unable to crawl the 20 feet back to the safety of my couch. Ding! Ding! The lift doors close. This time, no magic to be seen, just a giant ticking clock. Each hand on the clock sounds as the lift passes the 12 floors to the top. Tick, tock. I'm still paralysed. My legs are jelly, arms full of cash. Tick, tock. The lift begins to descend again, surely this time harbouring the massive drug-dealing Russian from the top floor. Tick, tock, crunch! Wait, what was that noise? There was a loud crunch and another bang in the elevator shaft. Then a twang. I hurriedly shuffled back away from the elevator doors towards my own front door, shuffling backwards. Then came the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life, and the doors to the elevator made a sound like a bomb had gone off. By this stage, I had managed to make my way 1, 2, 3 meters back to the safety of my apartment. I quickly slammed the door and returned to the couch. The once funny atmosphere brought on by the mushrooms was replaced by a sudden sobriety as the gravity of the situation started to sink in. I placed the cash on the table and stared at the crack in my television for what seemed like days. As I heard the whole story play out in the hallway, police, ambulances, screaming. Eventually, hours later, my mum came back in the front door with her pack of ciggies.
"What the fuck happened out there?"
she said with a sort of nonchalant haze about her. "Oh, I don't know. I've just been watching TV," I replied. My mum then looked at the table, full of wads of $50 notes, and looked back at me blankly. Without even asking me a single thing about where it had come from, she grabbed a bag from the top of the cupboard and started filling it with the money until it was full, and then placed it in a broken oven. A couple of days later, I found out that the man from the top floor had died in that elevator accident, and we ended up finding a new apartment with the money I found, one that was nowhere near the commission flats. Mum ended up going back to rehab, but that didn't last. But we did get a new TV, so that's cool.